Hello, everyone, and welcome in to the weekly, maybe weekly. We'll see how much time Mr. NerdyTenor and Mr. Brian Hooper have. The Sim show here on Davis Mattek / EndGame / Brian Hooper. This is the same thing we did last week, which is effectively we're going to test out some of Mr. NerdyTenor's tools that he is building for these Battle Royale games on UnderDog. The mechanical keyboard is back this week. Dan is back this week. Brian is back this week. I would say the funniest thing, Dan, that happened last week was that we did I think we did 6 or 7 of the prime times, and we ran the Sims, and we gave the dollars for all the teams, but we neglected to project Isaiah Likely to lead the slate in points. So that was just a big misstep by us. We simply should have been better and known more ball and projected Isaiah Likely for 1 billion points. That would have been good.
I have to take responsibility for that. I mean, I should have known, and then I didn't. So sorry about that.
Classic. All right. Brian, have you drafted any battle royales yet this week? Have you dipped your toe into the pool yet?
No, not this week. We're trying to update the draft caddy, and I want to get the live ownership going because we have ownership projections and stuff.
Oh,
so
all right.
I'm gonna wait a couple days. Hopefully, it'll be done.
I mean, I would tell you that we have to start the conversation here before we start doing any Sims and before we start drafting. So if you've not drafted any BRs yet, or if you have drafted some and you don't know how to feel about this yet, effectively, this is my first year really playing BRs, so I've never been in a situation like this. But the highest projected player of the slate in half PPR is Christian McCaffrey, if he plays. Christian McCaffrey is listed as questionable. He got a limited practice in on Wednesday. What's happening now, as of Thursday, is he goes in the last round, effectively. And he goes in the last round, and he's still selected despite, I think it's probably 75% he doesn't play. Because if he does play, you just have access to his points. And if he doesn't play, you were able to swap him out for your next highest ranked player. Now, you might say, oh, well, that's easy. You just swap in Jordan Mason. Jordan Mason got 1 billion points on Monday night against the Jets. Well, Mason is now getting drafted at let's call it 90%. Probably feels more like, I believe he's running back 7 or 8 now in the pool. I drafted about 50 of these on Monday, just taking Jordan Mason every single time, thinking, oh, dude, you're such a genius. Obviously, I was not the only one with this strategy. Although drafting them on Monday was, I think, good because CMC was going in the first round most often on Monday. Some of that was auto drafters because auto drafters happen. But let's just open it up. CMC, highest projected player of the slate, legitimately questionable. What are your guys' general thoughts on that?
I didn't think he was going to play this week, but if he practiced, that's a tough one.
I think you listed the important factors. So obviously, the volatility of drafting him goes way up, right? He becomes a very volatile selection. So, but it's mitigated somewhat by the fact that if he's ruled out, you're going to get somebody instead of him. So that makes me think he's probably a better pick in some ways than a meh running back, because you sort of get the option to sub him out, basically baked in, right?
And you get the option to sub him out for what we figured out last week. We were running the Sims like, oh, you should be taking Devin Singletary, you should be taking Chuba Hubbard, these guys at a much higher clip. You get to sub him out for a player who's not even close to 100% drafted. You get to sub it. You can set it up however you want, but you could set him up. You could do Brian Robinson Jr. or you could do Kenneth Walker, like guys who are going to be drafted in fewer than 30 or 40% of drafts, which means they're 5 to 6% owned. There are and this is also true. So it's the early game. So you have the whole pool. If the 49ers were playing at home, your pool would be limited of the players that you should select. I think my opinion right now is taking him frequently as your running back 2 is optimal. Now, that gets you into an exposure conundrum because, let's say I really like David Montgomery as a scroll the F down running back play, which I do. But I don't know if I want 50% of my teams or 35% of my teams to have David Montgomery. In fact, I probably wouldn't, but that is the way the swap works. You either get your top rated guy or you don't. Yeah, I can't go through and manually adjust that afterward. The software does it for me. But that's where I'm at with McCaffrey right now.
Yeah, I get that. I would add my inclination, and my software has no concept of all this stuff
Right, exactly.
right now, so we have to kind of just do it by hand. But my intuition is that he's a more attractive pick the chalkier the rest of your lineup is becoming, because that has the chance to rocket it out. Whereas if you're already pretty weird, you might not need him. You know what I'm saying?
I know exactly what you're saying. So it's like if you do 5 selections and they're all at ADP, like a very combinatorially non-unique team. You have you take Justin Jefferson at 6. You take Rashee Rice and Mahomes or Mahomes and Kelsey with your next selection. You take Jahmyr Gibbs with just all at ADP. And then you get to your 6th round spot and it's either I scroll for Brian Robinson Jr. or Kenneth Walker, or I just take Christian McCaffrey. I mean, and obviously if you just did 150 McCaffrey teams with this in mind, my guess is that it probably is a good strategy because you might end up having access to the highest projected player of the slate, where that would never be possible in any other iteration of BR, basically.
Right, and picking him late, it's not that it can't be much worse than just picking somebody else at that level, because when he doesn't play, you're going to get somebody similar to who you would have picked instead, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's also this whole other universe, and this might vary too much into ball knowing for this particular program, for EndGame Syndicate content. But there is this thought that, well, maybe he plays in a limited fashion. Maybe we get half CMC.
Yeah.
Maybe he gets half of his normal touches. And Jordan Mason played so well last week. Why would you need to give McCaffrey the ball 23 times? In which case, McCaffrey's probably a bad pick.
Right, that's the worst possible scenario. He plays, but he's limited. Then you're really screwed.
And he's, again, to get really into ball, maybe he's used as a pass catcher. Mason only caught 1 pass in that game against the Jets. That's kind of more McCaffrey's natural skill set. That skill set is discounted in half PPR. That is probably too in the weeds for this discussion. But it's there's just a lot to think about.
Isn't the play to just wait?
Well,
do your drafts later. Where's the fun in that, Brian? I mean, come on.
Well, Brian, that would not have been an option last week. BR
that's true.
BR filled Saturday morning last week. Now this week they did more contests. They did a $10 early, the mini Royale, so that the contests are filling slower.
Yeah, you could wait till at least Saturday though. But wouldn't you do Mason then Montgomery if Montgomery is your guy, and then Mason's going to get drafted, but you'll still pick him up in some, right?
Say that again.
Like if you're going to rank your replacements, don't you put Mason first? And
well,
and then you just get some of that Mason. And then you don't have 50% Montgomery.
You guys will see as we get into this. I just because I don't want to forget. I don't want to be busy Sunday morning and forget. I just have Mason as my top ranked player because I don't want to forget. Now, granted, Mason does get drafted a huge chunk of the time, but I probably am going to leave Mason as my top ranked player just in case he doesn't get drafted in any of these. And then I'm going to go Montgomery, and then I'm going to go Kenneth Walker. That is going to be my ball knowing outlay. No idea if that's good or not, but that is what I'm going to do. That is my plan as of right now.
Mason seems like a bad pick.
Go into that, please.
I mean, if you're telling me he's getting drafted like 90% of the time, I don't know what round.
Probably now more like round 4.
Everyone's going to put him as his replacement anyways. I don't know. That seems like that's not the move, right? With the knowledge we have right now.
I mean, my pushback on that would be if McCaffrey doesn't play, in half PPR, he probably is a first round pick. But yeah, Crutches is agreeing with you, saying that. I will say I've done 15 or so of these in the last 24 hours, and I think I've taken Mason once, which is just, that is, Brian, as you would say, that is astrology as opposed to, running the numbers on anything. But that I guess, even without consciously having that thought, that must have seeped into the way I'm drafting teams, which, like, if Mason ends up being the guy you want, then my teams on Monday probably cover that. And now I need to try and cover the other contingency, which is no CMC teams are getting Mason today, but CMC teams could have gotten Mason if you drafted them on Monday or Tuesday. So that is pretty interesting. All right, Dan, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Now we're gonna do the ASMR.
Yeah, we are going to do keyboard. We're ready to go.
We are. He's mic'd up the keyboard. Let me get our triple box. All right, let's enter into a battle royale, and let's see. I think we just have to tell the. I guess, what projection do you have loaded in for McCaffrey? Do you have?
So I updated my stuff, so I have multiple projection sources now.
Okay.
Which is nice. And
there's only so many out right now, though.
Yeah,
right.
So one of them thinks he's in and one of them thinks he's out. So he's averaging out as sort of like a meh running back, which is probably good for our purposes right now. It's really not exactly what you want, obviously, but
that's kind of a problem with averaging multiple projection sources. Yeah.
Well, this is alternating between projection sources. So one time it thinks he's great, and one time it thinks.
Oh, okay, that's much better.
But even so, it's still not exactly the thing you want.
Yeah, that's still much better.
Yeah.
Sure.
So
All right, so we have the third pick. What we have the third selection here. I'll pull up the draft board view so we can try and dial that in. What is your software think that we should do with the third pick if CeeDee Lamb and Cooper Kupp are the first two picks?
So my system right now puts Hall and Lamb as like tied for first, basically. Interestingly enough, it's a little hotter on running backs than other systems.
Okay, that is interesting.
It doesn't like Kupp as much as the ADP. It likes Lamb a little bit more.
That's pretty interesting because I guess I'm the slappy. We are on the clock and we are going to take Breece Hall.
It likes Hall here.
All right, Breece Hall is on the board. Cooper Kupp, CeeDee Lamb, Breece Hall.
Last week it loved those RBs in the first round, which actually would turned out pretty well.
Well, A-Chain and Mixon. Mixon was a bit of a score. I believe he was the running back 8 last week. The thing that Dan Sims highlighted very well last week was Anthony Richardson. Although Baker did outscore him, but Baker was actually drafted at a lower clip, so the winning team ended up not having Baker.
Yeah.
All right, Jefferson, Kyron. That is a big switch that I've seen in like the last 10 hours in these. As Kyron is now a first round pick. He was kind of more like was going like 10th overall for much of the contest up until now. St. Brown and Rashee Rice, Jonathan Taylor.
I thought Kyron was a kick returner.
He is. He did. He is returning the kicks, but it doesn't even matter. What does the computer want me to do?
Giving it a second. So right now it likes Lamar, it likes Kelsey. It's okay with running back also.
Okay, let's do Lamar on this one. A nice little strategy element here with Lamar is that assuming that you are in a relatively normal room, you are going to be able to select one of his 2 tight ends when there are 6 very highly projected tight ends this slate, which is abnormal for a battle royale slate, but 2 of them happen to play on his team. So you can overwhelmingly likely, pun intended, get one of his teammates at the tight end position in the end. Yeah, this both ETR and Cardi have Lamb projected for more points than Cup, so that is not that surprising to me that it's not that into Cup.
That would be why it prefers it then, because I have those two sources in here.
Yes. All right, we are up. Mike
now,
Evans.
Now it's presenting me with running backs here.
Okay. Which running back does it want?
It likes a lot pretty similarly. Walker, Kamara, Henry, Gibbs. It actually likes Ramondre a lot. I think that's also, but they're all pretty close. And any decent running back it likes now.
All right, I took Gibbs because I think you very likely do not want Derrick Henry with Lamar. Those feel like pretty negative. I mean, I guess I don't know. Maybe they could. Maybe Lamar.
It was listing him like 6th in the list, but it liked them all somewhat similarly. Okay, Laporta goes. So it's going to be interesting when it comes back around if it wants you to take Andrews right away or wait.
My guess is it probably will want us to take Andrews, and I'm probably going to override it because there's no need. All right, we are on the clock. We have one running back, two running backs, no wide receivers, no tight end.
Yep. So it's interesting. It's listing Kittle and Andrews, and then Godwin. Those are the top 3, and they're all pretty close. And then Ingram. So yeah, and then Ayuk.
We'll do Godwin. That is a little mini correlation with Jahmyr Gibbs. I probably have not selected him.
It ended up Godwin being top when I finally finished it, for what it's worth.
All right, Jaden Daniels goes. Daniels, that is an interesting thing. Is Lamar in the 2nd versus the running quarterbacks that you can get in the 4th. You can get Jaden Daniels and Anthony Richardson later on, and it obviously doesn't project this way. But the ball knowing thing is, well, Lamar might not be running at all in this game. The projections might be wrong because Lamar only ran so much because they were down in that game. They're very unlikely to be down in this game. All right, we are back up.
Okay, now
I'm gonna assume it wants Andrews.
So the ranking, you're gonna love this. It's putting Kittle up there. Kittle, Adams, Flowers, Andrews is the current order. Now it's Kittle, Andrews, Olave is the order now.
I'm overruling it on Kittle.
Well, it's not really an overrule. It's right up there.
Okay.
They were very close in ranking.
So now my preference would be to scroll for a wide receiver with our final selection.
Let's see.
Because this is Gibbs and Godwin will be common combinatorically. Obviously, Andrews and Lamar will be super, super common together. And Brees at 3 also is just exact chalk. Did anything weird happen in this one? Not really. Mahomes, St. Brown, Rashee Rice. Yeah. It's just kind of hard. Honestly, it's just kind of hard to draft a bad team this week. The projections are so high at the top.
Oh, interesting.
And all the tight ends project well. So it's not like there are not teams that oh, that's a good point. Lamar and Andrews will be underowned compared to optimal because of people. Yeah, I maybe haven't clicked likely yet.
To Connor.
So we need.
You need a receiver.
Yeah, we need any wide receiver.
Yeah.
He's scout worthy.
I mean, obviously I'm gonna star Worthy.
If Worthy's in the top 50 recommendations, that's who he's gonna take. So
I will abide by the Sims.
Okay, I'm running.
You have 20 seconds.
It likes Ayuk, Olave. Those are winning right now.
Ayuk.
Pittman's in there.
Never Pittman.
Never Pittman.
Never Pittman. Never Pittman. Never Pittman.
There's a bunch up there that it thinks are fine.
All right, we took Brandon Ayuk, which is good because I prefer to get a San Francisco 49er every time. Okay. We have oh shit. I gotta remember to pop the window out because I just lost that team.
I have it.
Okay.
So you have Hall, Jackson, Gibbs, Godwin, Andrews, and Ayuk.
Ayuk.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good team.
How many do you have the functionality built in to tell me how much out of $5 that team is worth?
It's guessing. It's guessing you did $4.50, which is not bad for drafting third with 10% rate. So about par-ish.
All right, we'll take it. All right, let's do it. Oh, I only have 40 left. Been knocking these out.
Is that all?
They're so easy, man. They're so easy. I take them.
They go down real nice. It's
Well, I have this puppy, and basically, she's 10 weeks old. She's like 10 weeks old or whatever. So she just has to be outside all the time. It's just easier to play with her outside. So I basically just sit on my patio, on my deck in the backyard, and let her do her thing. And I just sit there and draft teams. Although if she decides to be an asshole, great chance of drafting a team that's worth 0 cents, right? Of I took I think twice I've taken Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall together, which is 0.0001% to win or something like that, in a 39 total game. So there's been a couple times where it's cost me some EV. Yeah.
One thing to think about. Well, after this one, I had a thought about payout structures.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, that's so funny. I literally, obviously this is the most left IQ thought, but man, have I not thought about payout structures and this stuff at all. I'm just like, oh, this is the big contest, so might as well. All right. I assume the computer.
It's gonna want the same thing. I'll let it run for a second, see how big it thinks the delta is between.
This again, might just because I don't know shit about. I know absolutely nothing about what goes into your process as an idiot.
Well, it's trying to guess what other people are going to do later in the draft, right?
Well, one of the things that I would be curious about would be if you could build in a way for it to check your portfolio, check the teams you've already drafted, and build in an EV calc based on that. So if it knows that I've got 30 Breece teams already, does that mean, oh, that's actually too much? You actually shouldn't have 30 Breece teams or whatever?
Well, in a contest that big, in theory, you can start vulturing your own EV by correlating too much with yourself. But in a contest this large, I think it's probably very hard to do that.
Right.
Like if you were in a 200-man contest, with 3 max drafts or whatever, and your teams were very similar, you might very well be vulturing your own EV because you're too correlated with yourself. But I think for a large contest like this, it's strictly a question of diversity, like how much
of diversity between lineups, or just each individual lineup trying to maximize the EV.
Right, that's the decision you have to make. Like, how much risk am I going to take jamming in the same guy, in half of my drafts?
Oh, it's only $750. So if you go over, you go over.
That's how I feel about it for something like this. Like when I did a bunch of drafts, I was never getting Cooper Kupp.
Right.
Never, because I always wanted Lamb more. It just never happened. And I'm like, well, I could just force one in, but I don't know. So here we have.
It's going to want a running back, I think. I think it's going to want.
It's got a good mix. Right now, it's got Kelsey, then some running backs. Jamar. Kelsey and then running backs is what it has right now. So
all right, let's do Kelsey. So that is way ahead of ADP.
Yep.
So that's like a little weird. I wonder.
It might be weird. It could be wrong.
Is it? Yeah. So like, if I was doing greater, like if you could do $25, but you could enter it 150 times, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna enter that, then I would personally, just my own risk tolerance, I would try and balance more. I would try and have a more balanced range.
Yeah.
In that, because I don't want to go over on whatever $3,500 is, $3,750.
Yeah, a lot of people, a lot of the discussions you hear around diversity kind of conflate two things. Well, I'll get to that in a minute. But so here now it wants you to take a handsome young running back. Looks like
it wants a running back over Mahomes with Kelsey.
Now. Yeah.
Okay. Does it have a preference on which one?
I mean, yeah, but I don't know if I believe it. It wants Ramondre right now, but I find you can get Ramondre later anyway. So
yes, you can take Ramondre.
If you're not taking Ramondre, it's Etienne, Walker. It's got a bunch. Yeah.
Interesting. It's interesting that it has
Gibbs is in there too. Yeah, you're fine.
Yeah. Well, it's just to me that's interesting that it has guys who basically go, they have the 35.4 whatever ADP, like suggesting they don't get drafted all that often.
Mm-hmm. So the Mahomes thing, I think, oftentimes early it will not force the correlation, and I don't know if it's good, but my justification for it would be like you have plenty of time to pick up a different correlated something. So yeah, it's like not an emergency to grab your correlated piece.
Right. Well, it's like we could do Purdy and Ayuk with our final two picks, or we could do Baker and Godwin, or Baker and whatever. Yeah, it's not saying it's not placing the premium on the high end quarterback, wide receiver, quarterback, tight end combos that drafters are. All right, we are up. We have 2 running backs, 0 wide receivers, and 1 tight end. I bet, just going to guess, it wants Richardson.
Okay. Richardson is the quarterback it wants the most, but it would prefer a wide receiver now.
Okay. Neighbors, Godwin.
And yeah, they're up there. Get Godwin, Neighbors. Actually, the ranking right now is Godwin, Neighbors, Richardson. That's what it has.
All right, we took Godwin last time, so I'm going to take Neighbors this time. Right. No real reason other than just trying to. I want to put different things into.
Yeah, I mean, there are often so many times where the EV of there's so many viable picks. You might as well mix it up. Like, why not? That's the good thing about these kinds of games. You don't have to work to get different in a lot of the spots.
No, and I mean, I guess okay, here we're on the clock here real quick.
So now,
does it want a wide receiver or a quarterback?
Yes.
Yes.
It's close. So quarterbacks, it has Daniel Jones up top, and then
you know what? That's just fun. It's funny enough. Why not? Why not take Daniel Jones? Daniel Jones.
You don't have to take it now. Option. Well, it's all right. It's probably.
Well, that is classic. What is going to cause Godwin's price to be so much different? I just did the game by game show with Jakob. It's about to publish here on YouTube, and I was surprised to see Godwin projected so high. McMillan 89% route share. I'm expect him to cut in pretty significantly to Godwin's targets, but
oh no, we lost our first viewer because of my loud keyboard. I'll try to quiet it down.
Dan, pay them no mind. Some people are here just for the mechanical keyboard, to be honest.
All right. I'll try to mix it up a little bit.
We have to take a wide receiver. Who does it like other than Godwin and Ayuk, or is it just Godwin and Ayuk?
Let me see. It's got Adams up there.
Adams? Okay, sure.
Adams, Ayuk, Pittman, Godwin. Yeah.
Well, I'll say this. I'm never clicking Pittman. Never Pittman. Other than that,
Okay,
Adams
lowered down. Go ahead. It
does add to the Sims aura.
Yeah.
All right. Let's take Devontae Adams.
Sure.
And I'll pop this window out so we can discuss this team for a second when we are done. Brian, what is your you haven't spoken in about 13 minutes. What's running through your mind as Dan and I are running these sims?
Oh, not much. I'm the speed at which it's calculating. I'm interested in. So as he's watching it change the suggestions.
Yeah. It's doing a lot of work. It's probably not as much as I'd like. Yeah. But I think that because there's the good news for that. So this contest is so top heavy, right? That so much of your EV comes from getting in the top 10 spots. And it's a 60,000 person contest. So an average team that's happening 1 out of every 6,000 times. So simming enough outcomes and drafts to have that converge is very difficult, right? In real time.
Sure.
So the good news is because it's so volatile, like if something pops up, that probably means it randomly won a sim, and it might be good enough to play in something that's top heavy anyway. So, yeah, but it's hard. I won't lie. Somebody asked, "Are sims just factoring draft percentage?"
Wait, hold on. Before you answer that, he commented before. Here's his first comment. If Sims actually work, people would sell them to create competition. This is kind of like the journey. And then a few minutes later, he's like, "Hey, are the Sims factoring?" And then and then later on today, he's gonna be telling his buddies, "You got to play Sims. You can't win.
You got to play the Sims. Yeah. You can't just no ball. You can't just be a brain player, dude.
So, I wanted to bring up briefly the payout structure. So it is very top heavy, but it's not as top heavy as like ordinary DraftKings GPPs. It's 10% to first, 10%, not 30, and it actually does matter. In theory, at least. So a lot of the times I see, and not in this draft, but a lot of the times it's just like a wall of wide receivers in the first 2 drafting rounds, which I find kind of surprising. And I assume it's because everybody knows that they have these big ceilings. I mean, it's only half PPR, but still. And they're I need the hugest possible score. But there's a lot of equity in the top 50 spots, not just the top.
There's also like just in the nitty gritty of this slate, there's like a pretty huge break once you get to the wide receiver 9, which is Garrett Wilson, in terms of how drafters conceive of them. Now, Garrett Wilson has a pretty strong projection this week, as does Olave, as does Neighbors, as does Adams, as does Marvin Harrison Jr. and all those guys. But in perceived tier, like if you just ask someone in the chat, what do you think Debo's projected for? They'd be like, oh, Debo's projected for like 21. And then you ask, like, what do you think Malik Neighbors is projected for? They'd be like, oh, Malik Neighbors is projected for 14. Even if that's not representative of their actual, projection or whatever. But that's how people are thinking of it.
Interesting.
And Cooper Kupp had 40 expected fantasy points last week. That's a lot of expected fantasy points. Hard to beat that.
Do you think, Dan, the lower this is a kind of a side conversation about Sims in general. The lower payout structure, sometimes I would in the past make a top heavy payout structure in a contest sim flatter to like quicken the distribution so you don't get that, like you were explaining with the Devontae Adams, like he wins the middle.
I've done exactly what you described for this very thing that we're running, because it just smooths out the the sim process. Yeah, no, I did exactly what you just said for exactly that reason. I wouldn't do that in classic DFS because I don't really have to, but for this, yeah, pretend it's flatter than it is because honestly, in a thing like this, like if I told you like your team got in the top 50, right? I think that is a 0.1 less than a 0.1% outcome. I think it is extremely difficult to distinguish team quality beyond that point anyway. So like
there was a tie at top. There was last week in the main battle royale, there was a tie at the top, non-duped, Dan. Non-duped. Yeah. Two players had the same score.
Yeah.
Pretty crazy.
I'm not surprised. But like I think well, what my sim is doing right now is targeting a top 50 finish and just throwing up its hands after that because it's much faster to compute, to converge, I should say.
Interesting.
If you do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's sort of a hack.
If we like, let's say you had infinite time. Let's say you had a clock stopper, infinite time, infinite energy, and you could optimize it to only want to do
then you want
first place. Right, but to optimize only for first place. Do you think, like, for example, in this one where we took Jahmyr Gibbs, it would say, actually, that is stupid and you should have taken Patrick Mahomes? Like, do you think it would have valued that correlation more? My guess is yes, but again, I don't know anything.
I don't know. So I think that comes down to different options opening up. Like, assuming my software is doing something smart, which is a big assumption. So when you draft Jahmyr there, like you're like, there's like a fork in the road. There's a fork where nobody after you drafts Mahomes. And I think in that case, you're probably taking Mahomes a lot. But if Mahomes does get drafted, you still have a lot of
options. And there's always, look, if you want Daniel Jones, they are going to let you have Daniel Jones. I promise you, Daniel Jones will be there. All the time. Yeah, this is where my mind goes. I've been given access to a clock stopper, and the first thing that I think is, how can I get the best Sims to win 30,000 Biden bucks? That's the absolute best way to approach having clock stopping power. All right, let's get into another one. How?
Wait, there's some comments I want to correct a little bit.
Oh yes.
It says, did the Sims see ADP as a fixed factor? It doesn't know about ADP. It tries to figure out it tries to figure out itself where everything should be drafted. So it's not taking as input any of the ADPs that we see on the screen.
Right? So there's no like salary factor.
No. It just tries to figure it all out.
Interesting.
I don't know if that helps the person asking the question.
Yeah. All right, 39 left. Let's do it. Beautiful.
Oh, here we go.
So you've done 100. Is it 150 max?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You've done 111.
That is impressive. They take about
and I haven't even been multi-tabling them either. I've just been doing them like mostly one at a time.
That's like what, 15 hours of drafting? That's pretty impressive, or something. Yeah.
It's I mean, if it helps you think of this, Dan, that is less time than I would have spent in a normal week drafting like seasonal best ball teams. So my screen time is actually down drafting these. So that tells you about how little grass I've touched in the last like 3 months, because it's been very little grass.
Last week I was extremely busy. Yeah, a lot of computer time. So my stuff is probably gonna give you CD Lamb. Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say I am gonna override Breece Hall on this one if it wants him, just because I think
they're very close in my. I'm still letting my stuff cook, so like,
sure.
Between drafts, I'm letting it keep running, so the numbers are moving a little bit as it tries to get smarter. But Hall and Lamb are very close in my stuff right now. So
Yeah. This is also, I mean, man, this is also so true. Battle Royale, what an absolute godsend for content. I'd be kind of lost about what to do for content. You know, I was streaming every day. Oh, CD goes too. I also am going to override if it does go on Cooper Cup.
Yeah, go ahead and grab it. I think it'll be interesting to see where it leads us.
It will be interesting. All right, I am going to select Cooper Cup. Cooper Cup is on the team. CD Lamb goes 1. I need to publish the NFL DFS video that I just recorded. Should be rendered. Just went through the slate this morning. Very, very fun slate of games this week. We have a bunch of very high. Kyren Williams at 4. The fun is over. On Monday and Tuesday, you could kind of get Kyren Williams in the second round quite often. And literally as we went live, the Establish the Run projections and optimal rates just came out. So I think as we consecutively do these with those out, this will probably become a little bit harder. If you take for granted that ETR's numbers are good. All right, we have Cooper Cup. I'm going to guess that it's going to tell me Ramondre, and I'm going to ignore that, probably.
Well, this is interesting. Yeah, no, it has, it has what you predicted, so we're going to ignore that. So it's got Rice, Taylor up there. It even has Mahomes up there, too, interestingly. There's a lot. Taylor, Mahomes, Pacheco, Kamara, Lamar.
Let's do Taylor. Let's do Taylor on this one.
You're gonna have to take Ramondre eventually here.
Well, we can start setting it up to take. We can start setting it up to take Ramondre with the last pick. Mahomes goes. All right, it is going to want. It's going to want Pacheco or Gibbs is my guess, or Henry.
It has
after Ramondre.
Actually, this is interesting. It has Lamar, and then it has Ramondre, Pacheco, and then it has some other backs.
Lamar is my input would be Lamar is the most valuable pick there because he's more unique combinatorially. Where this is after his ADP, so it's just a little bit less common.
So Kobe's comment sounds like you'll be build the same team over and over with these. So yes and no. So there are a few spots where it just, because of my process and or projection set, it just prefers certain players in certain spots much more than the field. So in that case, you have to decide what you're going to do about that. But I get a fair bit of diversity anyway, in my experience.
Yeah.
Okay, let's say
there's certain themes that keep coming. Go ahead, Dave. Sorry.
Well, this is a good, and maybe we can save this till after we get done with this draft because I've got a bigger picture question that will take longer to answer than just going between the two of these. Okay, so we have Lamar, we have Taylor, we have Cup. So I probably am gonna, if it wants me to take Kelsey or something, I'm probably gonna disregard it because I will just want to save it for Mark Andrews. So do what you will with that.
Kelsey's been taken anyway.
Kelsey, Laporta, and McBride. McBride went first in this one to a Kyren Williams team, to a user building in a bit of bidding in a single game correlation there.
Uh-huh.
ETR stuff is low on the running backs early. They've got Brees 7 and Kyren 9.
Yeah, it's interesting.
I deviate quite a bit from standard selections. Well, I guess I did a lot last week. I'm doing that a lot less this week because, again, the high-end guys project for a lot of points. And once you get past like 5 running backs and 9 wide receivers, it's different. All right, we are on the clock. It's definitely going to want Pacheco.
It has Pacheco and Stevenson up top, and Andrews. if you're worried about the next guy taking Andrews. That's probably why it's like there's a chance the next guy vultures Andrews, and that's why it's appearing. But he's not listed up top.
Yeah, I'd rather have. Well, actually, next guy was less likely to take Pacheco, so I probably should have done that the other way. But it is what it is. I can answer this. This is in Super Alpha, so no contests have been won with this computer's help.
Yeah, I mean,
that right there, what I just did right there, that was how to not play daily fantasy sports 101. I knew that he was unlikely to take Pacheco, and I took him anyway. So that was super stupid of me.
We'll go back to that because I have some thoughts there too that are important.
Yeah.
So now it's got Godwin up there. Evan.
Knew that was coming.
Evan Ingram is up there. Likely, you could probably
the Sims and projections both like Cardi has Evan Ingram for I think the second most tight end points of the slate, and there's a lot of Ingram love out there. Okay, we've got Lamar Jackson, Jonathan Taylor, Isaiah Pacheco, Cooper Kupp, Chris Godwin. Yeah, the other thing that I would be concerned about building with this is it's going to give you fewer correlated teams than I would want in general. Like I would want a lot of my teams to have teammate pairings. I would want a subset of my rosters to have teammate pairings and a player from the opposing team, and probably an even smaller subset with teammate stack, player from the other team, and like a running back wide receiver playing against each other. I mean, maybe that is too galaxy.
I do see those. I think we've been a little bit unlucky there. But because when I drafted, I did see that stuff.
Man, they are really going to make me take Isaiah Likely. They're really going to do it to me. That is that's pretty disgusting. I don't love it.
You're still going to have a good team, I think.
Yeah, this one might be worth $3.17 in the end.
Oh, we got to do that.
More. I think it's going to be more.
Yeah. Okay. I do. Again, I told you guys, million. Do you want to turn EndGame Syndicate into $1 million website? You create a fake algorithm to tell people how much their teams are worth. So does it want me to take?
Oh, he took Likely.
So does it want me to take Kittle or Bowers?
We can actually do that pretty easy now. I think
it likes Ingram the most, but after that it goes Ingram, Kittle, Bowers in that order right now.
All right. Well, I'm also going to override and just take George Kittle.
Yeah, it's pretty close and it's converging. Let's see. Yeah, it's only so it thinks you got 650 out of this draft. So
wow. 650. So I just got to draft that team. If I draft the team that good 150 times, I'm basically rich.
So I want to. Yeah, you're totally rich. Just keep doing that.
Why don't we do a draft where you let it cook for as long as you can down to the last 5 seconds or something, and you just do what it says, Davis.
Whatever it says.
See what happens.
It's gonna screw up some stuff.
I'll
do over Stevenson in the second round. This is what I wanted to ask though, and that actually pertains to what you just brought up, Brian. Was, Dan, in your opinion, like let's say Underdog gave you special dispensation and they said you can actually use real-time assistance and it can click for you and you can just auto draft 150 based on this tool. Would and pretend that the money matters to you, like pretend that this is some dollar amount that really matters to you. Would you do that, or do you not think the tool is close enough?
I think I would do it as an experiment probably at first because this is a low dollar.
But not with the expectation that like you'd be the best player in the field drafting.
No,
with this
I imagine it. So it's really an open question for me. Like, would that be profitable to do such a thing? Because rake is not too bad in these games, but I also feel like
and you do get some rake back also. If you enter into at least 100 contests, you do get some rake back.
Yeah, so that's a really good question. I suspect what would happen is there are some players that would pop just a ton because of whatever reason.
Like Ramondre Stevenson.
Like
I mean, Ramondre is totally he's totally highlighting an inefficiency, but I don't know if it's like, if this makes sense. I don't know if it's highlighting an efficiency that I would hammer. Like, yes, right. Ramondre has a pretty strong median projection or mean projection, whatever, relative to these other running backs. But I feel that it's kind of fragile based on game state. Like, the game state for the Patriots could go so bad that, like, maybe in my mind, he gets 6 points in half PPR far more than the projections think. And again, maybe that's like too much ball knowing or whatever, but that would be like, and maybe that's just too much player take base. Like, you know, you don't want to show up to a theory contest with player takes, but that's kind of what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
You know, I think Dan would use his tool because it's probably better than what Dan would do. So he just doesn't know much. And then what I would do is, once I get 60% Stevenson, I would just change his projection manually, so I get more of them, and then I'd go back to bed or whatever.
I'd probably want to babysit it and be like,
yeah,
why am I getting so much of this guy? Because this sort of dovetails into a conversation I want to have about differences in this kind of equilibrium strategy versus using that reasoning in other games. So if you do an equilibrium strategy in heads-up poker, you have a strong guarantee that as long as you play it really well, your opponent can't beat you. They can only lose to you or tie, okay? This is close to true in conventional DFS if you consider the entire field as your opponent, right? So if you play closer to quote-unquote balanced or optimal in conventional DFS than the field, you stand to make more money than the field on average. It starts to break down in smaller contests, but in a big GPP, that pretty much has to be true, and I can demonstrate that without too much difficulty. This is not true in this kind of game that we're playing here. In Battle Royale, that is not the case. And the reason is we just were presented with a demonstration of why this is not the case. Because all these optimal strategies assume your opponents are behaving rationally according to what you think rational is, okay?
Right.
And if they don't, in poker or conventional DFS, that benefits you, but sometimes in a draft, that can hurt you. So when you had that pick on the 5-6 turn, and you're like, I'm going to pick this other thing because I'm going to wait to pick Andrews because the rational thing for my opponent to do is not to grab him. Let's just say that we agree. Let's just establish that we agree he should not pick Andrews as one of his 2 final picks. So you're like, oh, I don't have to pick Andrews because I, quote unquote, know my opponent's not going to pick Andrews because it's a bad pick. So I wait.
Right, but then Andrews. you want to go to another level. So I knew the likelihood is probably in these drafts, probably 70% of our opponents are literally watching us do it. Uh-huh. So that guy knew that I needed Andrews. I mean, this is so clear why I played in an exploitable way for him. I got exploited there because he was watching. He knows what I need. I actually know that he wouldn't have taken Pacheco. I just played bad there. But you're right. At an equilibrium strategy, I should have just taken Pacheco because he was the best selection, and it did not. My opponent lost dollars on his entry, taking Ramondre and Andrews there, which is just yeah.
So that is the difference here. Like sometimes, and usually, on average, you want your opponents in these contests to behave irrationally. It's just some of the time it costs you money. Also, you can see this dynamic. I don't know how much poker we want to get into, but there are situations
we gotta get into poker
where in a ring game, the person to your right is super aggressive and he's just raising constantly. He's raising way more than he should in a ring game no limit. And it's costing him EV and it's also costing you EV because he's robbing you of the chance to steal the blinds because he's raising so much more often. Now you claw some of that back by isolating him with a good hand, so you get some of it back, but you typically don't get all of it back in some of the situations like that. So you can have a quote unquote bad player cost you money depending on what he's doing and where he's sitting. And I feel like that's very similar to here, where if the guy who drafts like right after you is unreasonably likely to vulture your pick.
Yeah, like he's a bad player. Like the guy to your right, the guy like you're picking at 5, the guy picking at 6 is a bad player, a losing player. But he happens to take the EV picks for you in a way that doesn't make sense for him.
Right.
Yeah, I mean that is the classic. Like that actually probably is more applicable to best ball even than to like no limit. Yeah.
Anyway, I had this happen to me last night when I was testing this out, and I had a pretty clear quarterback tight end pairing that I wanted to do. And I took the quarterback first, and then the guy drafting at the turn thought, and then drafted the tight end I needed, who was worse than another tight end that was available. So I was very, and I'm like, gosh, like either it's just totally random, but he thought for a while. I don't think he was even top in the tight end listing. So I don't think it was just someone auto-clicking a tight end. It was almost like he really wanted that pairing. And then I took the quarterback and he's like, well, I guess I'll still just take the tight end. Anyway, it's like he should have pivoted and done something completely different. Probably, and it cost both of us. So it's just kind of funny.
In your version, in your latest version, do you notice if you play the computer against itself, everyone's kind of staying in their lane still, or is that dampen at all?
It does a fair bit of both. So there's a fair bit of. So on the one hand, you have the situation we just described where it's like, I know this piece I want is good for my team, and from what I see coming, it's unlikely that the people drafting are going to want him, so it'll hold off. So in that sense, yes. But other times it'll be like, oh, the guy who's drafting right next has Mahomes, and Kelsey is really pretty good for my team, so I better take it now, because if I don't take it now, he's going to draft it. So there's a mix of staying in your lane and vulturing opportunistically, right?
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, we ready for another one?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna foul 100% this time,
okay.
right?
Oh god.
All right.
It's gonna be terrible.
If you want Ramondre Stevenson in this one, you better get him early because he's going.
We'll see. We'll see.
All right, based on the draft slot, I want to see if I can nail this team. All right, we're picking 6.
Ooh, that could
I'm
be
gonna guess.
You're not gonna be able to nail it because it takes so long to converge. It could be one guy and then it'll switch.
Especially when the choices are close, it's just gonna be like. So I'll run it down to 10 seconds, and then I'll tell you what I.
All right.
All right. Well, it's gonna be Ramondre and a wide receiver probably here.
It'll be Ramondre and then Godwin.
All right. Here, I'll put all the players in the queue that I know it's.
Oh, now you're gonna get sniped.
Well, maybe
I don't
think it's gonna take Godwin that early.
It definitely is gonna want Lamar, and it'll want. It doesn't seem to like McBride. It always likes Ingram. All right, and it'll probably want another running back. All right, this is my guess for what the team ends up being. Right, those players right there is my guess of the names that we end up with in the end.
Just make up names, Dan, just to spite them.
Cool.
I'm trying to see if I could get in the brain of Dan's computer. Well, it's also not fair because I've been I know the projections that Dan's using. Like I literally just got done doing a 90-minute show going over the projections. I would love for it to tell me to take Justin Jefferson. I'll tell you, that is what I'm rooting for. I'm rooting for the computer to tell me that it wants Justin Jefferson. That would be he's probably like my favorite. There you go.
It's definitely
Kyron
possible.
Williams goes.
All right, I'm gonna let her cook.
Let her cook. Wait, my nimble fingers are ready. I am ready to click.
You have enough experience. Let's be real.
Yeah.
All right, I'm clicking it. Jamar Chase.
All right.
Jamar Chase. All right. Now it's got to converge again. We have the next pick.
Oh, this is gonna be fun.
You got time.
I'm just previewing here.
Come on. We know it's gonna say Ramondre.
10 seconds.
Patrick Mahomes.
All right.
Patrick, uncorrelated, unstacked Patrick Mahomes at 7.
Yep.
Well, I guess it's correlated. Yes, this is correct. The tool doesn't care or factor in diversification at all. It doesn't know what we've done before. It's trying to play, Dan, correct me if I'm wrong. It is trying to play an unexploitable equilibrium strategy that is going to win regardless of what our opponents choose to do, correct?
Right, although it is factoring in what they're likely to do. Could you bring up the board for me and just be easier to keep up?
Yes, sorry.
You're okay.
After we pick, it goes Justin Jefferson, Deebo Samuel, Rashee Rice. Okay, well we are gonna get boxed out.
We might get Worthy. We might get Xavier Worthy.
Is it gonna let us though? Is the because I said I'm not gonna mess with it. So if it tells me not to take Worthy,
we'll see.
I'm not going to.
We'll see.
I know the best ball intelligentsia. They are so out on Worthy at wide receiver 10 this week, which it makes me want to click him even more. I mean, he doesn't project that well. I think he projects for like 11 and a half PPR points, which is not that good. But the best ball intelligentsia need to learn to watch the games.
He's projecting less than 10 on average in the sources I have at the moment. So yeah.
Well, they need to learn to watch the games too.
He might be we might end up picking him 6th or something.
He'll go before. Now we haven't gotten there yet. We could take Hollywood Brown, gamble that he plays, and if he doesn't play, we swap him out with another high-ranked wide receiver.
What you're really hoping for here is just like a wall of quarterbacks being drafted. You want them to spend...
we did get Lamar. I mean, we would like Richardson to go. We'd like Daniels to go ahead of ADP. I mean, Daniels won't go here. Richardson could definitely go here. Yeah,
you're hoping for a quarterback or two to go here.
This is I don't see that often in these. A double no badger room. Maybe they play a little bit weirder. You never know. I do notice the BRs are very sweaty. I'd say I'd conservatively estimate 83% virgins in these rooms is my guess.
Yeah.
All right. Jonathan Taylor, Garrett Wilson, Trey McBride go. We are up in about 35 seconds. Everyone get your guesses in. How much is it going to want me to take Ramondre Stevenson here?
Oh, you're going to have 2 picks. I think one of them will be... Well, I think I know what one of them will be. I'm not sure if it's that one.
Yeah, big... Look, man, if you're drafting 150 battle royales, you probably are okay. Worthy goes. So we are locked into uncorrelated Mahomes unless we take Pacheco.
Kelsey
went.
We're going
down. No, he's
still available. Oh wait, sorry. Ramondre time.
Okay. There we go.
Ramondre, please tell me the computer wants me to take Kelsey now.
It does. I'm going to let it cook all the way to 10 seconds.
Hold on.
I'm letting it cook, but I want to know.
Let it cook. It's winning. I hope it wins. Oh, no, it's not winning anymore. Oh, God.
Give it more time. Give it more time.
No.
Tell the computer to learn ball, Dan.
God damn it.
No. Okay, who's the guy?
Oh, it wants Kamara. Ugh.
That is disgusting.
Kamara.
That's
Do
gross.
it.
Oh man. It was close though.
That physically pained me, dude. That right there, that's the hardest click I've ever made in the history of basketball.
Oh,
Everyone's gonna have Mahomes Kelsey, bro. Everyone.
Oh my
Sickening, honestly. That I really mean this. That right there is enough to make me question the entire concept of Sims. just the whole from top to bottom, the whole racket. I'm just like, I'm going back. I'm going back to
this is definitely gonna be your top ranked lineup this week.
No,
if this lineup wins, imagine this this uncorrelated mess wins. Yeah. It really doesn't get more virgin than passing on Mahomes with and I can go ahead and finish this team. It's gonna want Evan Ingram, and it's gonna want Chris Godwin or Brandon Ayuk.
Yeah. So gross. Even I'm grossed out.
Man. Honestly, I don't want this team to win. I'm going to be rooting against. I hope that the EV of this team is 7. Yes. That was the most mid IQ pick we've made yet. That was like both left curve and right curve are saying just take Kelsey, bro. And then the mid curve is no, you don't understand. The Sims is waiting the combinatoric ownership.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Well, it's a good thing I've got ads turned on for these videos so I can recoup the $3.17 that I lost.
Let's see the EV at the end of this.
It's gonna
like it.
6th. Well, you picked 6th.
Oh, interesting.
So it's not gonna like your team even if you do exactly what it says, unless somebody just hands you something really valuable.
So it's a game I can't win. It's an unwinnable game.
All right, here we go. We're cooking.
Can I
this
name
one's gonna be
games?
close too.
How do you name a?
This one's gonna take first. You don't need to name it. You'll know.
Okay, Godwin is up.
Shocking.
Shocking.
Is anyone else tied with them?
The projection source he uses loves Godwin.
Yeah.
I got a few. Let's see what it says.
Well, we have to take a tight end.
Yeah. It's given Godwin like, I don't know, 13 or something.
We took him. What tight end does it want?
5 more seconds. There's Mark Andrews it is.
All right.
Mark Andrews it is. All right.
It gives you $3.30 for this one.
$3.30.
If you put Kelsey in there, would it go up? Can you do that?
Yeah. Can you go back and put?
I'd have to back it all up. Okay. Let's see. When was it picked? Who got him?
I'm pulling the board up right now.
He was picked 4th.
So
I'll back it up. It's just gonna take a second.
This is what we're gonna try and do right now. So do Kelsey, David Montgomery instead of Kamara and Mark Andrews, because that's who I would have wanted to pick.
Kelsey and Montgomery instead of
Mark Andrews and Alvin Kamara.
Okay, I'm gonna have to back up. All right, so he's 4th. Okay, so I got to back up to the Kamara pick.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're drafting who instead of Kamara?
Kelsey.
Travis Kelsey.
Okay, and then it goes Richardson. Oh, I did this wrong already. God damn it. Did I not back up far enough?
Pick 19.
Yeah, why is this not working?
We broke it. We broke the sim, dude. We got too far, and
it just refuses to take Kelsey.
The sim is like Daniel Jones, dude. It's not playing confident. The sim got insulted, and now it's just not playing confident.
No, that was user error. That's all me. Okay, so you have Stevenson and then
Kelsey.
Yep, I got that right. Stevenson and Kelsey. Okay, and then it goes Richardson.
Wow, we gave this team at 6 an absolute gift getting Kelsey.
Who does slot 1 take instead of Kelsey then?
Oh, it can be anything. How about
Andrews? Give him Andrews.
Give him our guy.
Yeah.
Jaden Reed, then Dak, then Gibbs, then Neighbors. I gotta make this easier on myself for next video. Likely. Okay, now we want. So we got Kelsey, and now we're taking who and
Godwin and David Montgomery.
Okay.
Montgomery is my top. He's my top swap running back, I think. Although maybe after this conversation, I'll have to make it Ramondre. Imagine CMC doesn't play and I end up with 60% Ramondre because Dan's computer told me to. And imagine he smashes.
If you get Montgomery, your EV here is 575.
So it's better. The Kelsey team is better.
It is.
I
wonder. My guess is, let's see, when you picked Kamara. You picked Kamara, and 3 more tight ends had to be picked, right?
Let me wager a guess. Is that your program is projecting too wide of a range of players to go after, not knowing that the board tends to hew more towards ADP. So it's projecting our opponents with a wider range of EV when actually they're locked into a pretty tight band of EV.
That would be my guess as well. I think either that it's a combination of that, which just has to be the case from everything we've looked at. Like people stick to ADP in situations where it doesn't make sense, where the differences are small, and you'd rather just get different. But
we know that. We know that that's true. We know that players with very similar projections don't get drafted. But we know that for example, James Conner is a pretty good example. James Conner is projected well this week, but not like unbelievably.
Right.
James Conner is going to get drafted 120 times more often than Najee Harris gets drafted, and they're kind of in a similar band of projections.
Yeah, this is a classic case where I would not do what the sim says for that reason, because it's so the EV calculation is trying to factor in the likelihood that something you need is taken, right? And it's going to weight it too low in that situation. So it's like, hey, there's a decent chance I get. This is also again.
That's totally what's happening. Is it's giving us some chance of getting Kelsey again when the probability of that is 0.
That's exactly it. Yeah.
Okay. Yes. All right. Well, I'm going to remember that for next time. I'm going to remember that for next time.
It also doesn't know you're live streaming and going to get sniped on. And things
I would assume Kelsey has less than 5% of the time made it to the 6th round.
Right.
Of any draft.
You could also smooth out the projections. Maybe something like this. That's like if you use the here we go. We get a Cooper Kupp. Well, I'm overruling the Sims already. I'm taking Cooper Kupp ahead of CeeDee Lamb.
Oh, you're first.
Yeah, I am first. Like on unabated for the prop betting. For doing like the pick'em contests on Underdog, it allows you to bake in a market smoothing element, so it doesn't show like the comparable would be. Oh, you open up a prop tool and it shows 60% edge on a prop. Well, like
right.
you probably don't have 60% edge, right? Like that would be Ramondre in the second. Like something exactly. In the inputs is not right.
But even if you think your input is right, I still wouldn't take him when recommended there. Like, let's say you're really confident you're right. Like, you probably should be delaying your pick, loading up with other premiums, and then getting him, in in the third round when everyone, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like,
All
yeah,
right.
I mean, that's just all right. So
Cooper
we're
Kupp
taking
is
Mr. Cup.
We're taking Mr. Kupp. I am not smoothing out. Well, I am smoothing out. Cooper Kupp is projected for a lot of points, so I'm taking him over CeeDee Lamb. Although CeeDee Lamb, it is worth noting, is I think $1,300 more, $1,400 more than Cooper Kupp on DraftKings, and projected for more points. So if you were looking to get cheaper CeeDee Lamb exposure compared to DraftKings, you would you could definitely do it on UnderDog.com. Yeah, Dan, I don't know about this, but instead of having to type the name in, you could build like a drop down. So all you had to do is click. You know?
Yeah,
you know
no,
what
I
saying?
need to create a user interface like a man. You know, I just need to man up and do that at some point. But
you're locked into a bunker at NORAD, just typing Ramondre Stevenson's name in over and over again.
But I mean, now it's part of my brand is the loud keyboard. I didn't even really intend for that.
We could probably do that with the draft caddy pretty easily, actually.
Right.
To calculate the value.
Yeah.
We could do that too, pretty much.
That is really bulking up the draft caddy for these games, I think is like an awesome marketing strategy for you guys.
You think people actually want that, huh? Just to see the EV of their lineups?
I promise you, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that would take your guys' exposure as a business to the next level. All right, we are up. Cooper Kupp is on our team. CeeDee Lamb, Breece Hall, Kyren Williams, Justin Jefferson, Rashee Rice, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, St. Brown, Derrick Henry, and Jamar Chase. Go.
It's got... it's interesting. Now it freaking wants Kelsey. Why? Oh, no. Okay, Jonathan Taylor is winning at the moment.
All right. We will take Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah.
And I definitely would not be opposed to taking Travis Kelce here if that's who it wants.
Let's see. Okay, we're going to ignore its Ramondre suggestion for the moment. It has... wow, why does it have Jerome Ford up there? It has Ford, McBride, Debo, Rashad White, Kenneth Walker.
Pacheco. It's so funny. Like it clearly is driving. I'm gonna take Debo. It's clearly driving at the right selections, like that I think is the right pick. Like I think Debo is the right pick there. And it's like, oh, McBride, also a very good pick there. Correlates with the Cooper Kupp pick. He's very high projected at a scarce position, yada yada. But then it throws in a random, like it throws in, what running back did you just say?
God, it had well, he bounced back down, but it had freaking, for a second there, Jerome Ford appeared.
Jerome, like a total off the wall, like wouldn't take him there. Yeah.
I mean, it went back down. So part of the weirdness we see is just frankly convergence, where it's just doesn't have long enough to really give you the exact answers that you want. So
we need the yeah. You could that's a good bit.
Yeah, there's two ways to do that. So Dan's doing the equilibrium strategy, but you could also just do the classic contest sim. You just have to save all your data and then kind of extrapolate the rest of it.
It sounds like this is true also. The sim needs
Yes.
like time. You need like more available computing power to get there.
That's true. So a lot of the stuff is pre-computed. So I'll run something for like an hour to start. And then a lot of it is done live, obviously.
Yeah. Well, Garrett Wilson is a huge ADP bet. I don't know if I can pass up Garrett Wilson here.
Let's see. Let's see how he pops.
Probably not that well, I bet.
It's got... What is happening here? Why?
He's kind of lower projected
So
for him.
It's got Purdy being suggested here. Purdy, Ramondre, Andrews, Kenneth Walker. Oh, that's a weird one. Field. Oh, no, I don't believe that.
All right. Well, I am overwriting here. Apologies in advance. I'm going to take Garrett Wilson.
Garrett.
And then we can get I guess we can get Purdy with our last round pick.
Yeah, one's quarterback now.
Okay, sure.
Um,
We'll take Purdy, and then whatever tight end comes to us, we will select.
So what would the tab look like then to look through your EV? Would it just be like each lineup 1, lineup 2, lineup 3, and then you show the EV, or what? What would it look like?
You'd have to, yeah. Gosh, I'll have to think about that.
Dan, what's your working name for this tool?
Oh, I don't have one.
We've been brainstorming some. My idea is
I like this. I like the Steven Sim.
I had 2 ideas. One was the tenorizer, and another was the since we have the draft caddy, it's the draft maestro.
Okay.
You know,
I like it.
He's a music guy.
Who got picked? Kittle? Okay, Kittle.
It's gonna want us to take Evan Ingram.
We'll see.
No. This is not a publicly available tool. This is in like the first stage of the development in Dan's basement.
Pretty much, yeah.
The draft daddy, huh? That's pretty good.
That's cute.
No, there's got to be a very good name. There's got to be something with Battle Royale, the Kingmaker, Excalibur. There's something there. There's something there. I don't know what it is, but there is something there. Yeah, how about this? How about this? You people put their best ball teams in, and then it responds with a GIF. It grades you based on a GIF. You put in a dog shit team where you took Alvin Kamara over Travis Kelce, and it tells you that you have a dumpster fire. All right, does it want Evan Ingram, Brock Bowers, Isaiah Likely?
So far, the order is Ingram, Bowers, Likely at the moment.
All right, we already got a weird one. We might as well take Evan Ingram. Why not?
Right.
Brian, I haven't had a chance to talk to you since then. What was your experience watching Caleb Williams in his debut game?
The Bears' offensive line is really bad. Really
yes,
bad.
It is.
Oh,
they were getting what's the because is it reverse pancake? What is it when the defensive line does it to the offensive line? They were getting pancaked all over the place.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. 2 punt return touchdowns though. He
Keenan Allen looked a little washed too.
He did, and Rome hurt his knee. So yeah. what I'm hearing you say is you're not painting your nails for the game this weekend?
No.
Or on Monday night. Wow, Monday night game actually.
Oh yeah.
Center stage for your Bears. All right, Dan, will you answer this question? And I'm going to go pee real quick. Do you need to know the 5 other teams drafted in your draft to know the EV of your team? Shouldn't your team EV be separate from the 5 teams also drafted in your draft?
Well, in a contest with 60,000+ entrants, right? You don't care.
Yeah.
The only time I think it would start to matter, I guess, is in a very small contest. It potentially could affect the calculation in a significant way if there are like, I don't know, 100 guys, maybe, or I don't know how small they get.
If you could add theirs in there, well, you would. I mean, why not?
Yeah, but it would be just the tiniest fraction of
it doesn't matter that much, but
it's not going to matter. Yeah.
I think just the important point is the EV is you're doing an equilibrium EV calculation, and most people are probably more thinking contest sim EV calculation, which is slightly different. And
give you a much better answer,
much more accurate answer. And honestly, that's probably the way we should do it because you have a lot more information in Battle Royale than you do in DFS. So it would be a very accurate EV.
You just have to model the set of teams as well as you can. That's the hard part.
Right. But I think we could probably do that pretty easily.
Yeah, how complex? I mean, it would be insanely complex to run a full contest sim for a full Battle Royale.
You just you wouldn't have to. I think the way I would approach, I wouldn't simulate the actual real drafts. That would be a whole other. That would be really hard to simulate how.
Well, you wouldn't have to, right?
No,
you just need to
you
know
would
the
just
ownership.
you would try to get ownership and make reasonable looking lineups as close to the actual contest as possible. So.
Well, no, if you can get the actual field, you use the actual field.
Of course, yeah. If you had the field, you could just run it.
Right. You just run it. And there's nothing unethical about that either, because it's posts. Who cares? The line.
Oh, if we're talking after the fact, yeah.
Yeah, well, that's what they want. They want after.
Okay, yeah, that's pretty straightforward.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah, I think pretty clearly you do. You're gonna have to guess. You still have to guess, but we could talk about this offline, Dan. But I think we could pull that off pretty easy. Seems like everyone really likes the idea. I don't get it, but okay.
Normally you're better at seeing the.
It's cool. It's fun. I don't know if I would pay for that.
Right.
You're so divorced from the common man. You were so divorced from the common man. The common man, the guy who just wants to draft a team on the shitter and eat some wings and watch their football game. That guy, Brian, that guy wants a letter grade for his team in Best Ball Mania 5.
Okay, well, I think we might be able to do that.
Somebody asked if we're using a GPT-esque model for this. That would be hilarious to run a draft and just have ChatGPT do all of it.
You're just typing the names in the ChatGPT.
See what it tells you. No, I'm not doing anything. Large language model is not at all what you want for a problem like this. It's completely the wrong. It's very good at what it does, but this ain't it. No.
Hartman is drafting on the shitter right now.
Dude with his shirt off in this pick. Nice.
Oh, you got the one again?
The one, and I'm also taking Cooper Kupp again. Apologies.
No
Apologies
problem.
to the Sims.
Yeah.
It would be, I guess I need to start saving some screenshots of these teams or something, because I'll be very curious. I guess it'll just to track if any of these teams do well. If we, or I mean, look, I'll tell you what.
It's so hard to win one of these fucking things. I mean,
right.
Even if you're like a drafting super genius, like it's so hard.
If Ramondre Stevenson has 22 dog app points on Sunday, you're gonna have to. A lot of haters are gonna have to apologize to Nerdy Tenors, Excalibur Sim.
Well, see, I have a free roll because if he does well, I look like a genius, and then if he does poorly, I'll just reveal all of my projection sources and say, these fucking.
Well, you say it's not my fault. You say you guys don't pay me to know ball. You guys pay me to know computer.
Okay, Lamar goes 5th.
Lamar goes. That's bizarre. Well, maybe not.
Not
no, it's pretty bizarre. Okay. I'm going to predict that it wants running he who shall not be named and
of course
a tight end. I'm going to predict it wants he who shall not be named and Trey McBride.
Yeah, I think we should give the guys a peek behind the curtain here. I'm drafting Battle Royale on UnderDog. Who do I take? Tyreek Hill.
Prioritize high-scoring games, draft efficient running backs, focus on premium receivers, don't forget tight ends, and adjust to the draft room. Very great advice. That right there, ChatGPT speaking like it wants Travis Kelce.
Loves Travis Kelce.
Now we are on the clock, and I've left Dan at a real disadvantage here. He has no idea who to tell me to take.
Oh.
So I'm gonna give you a peek behind the curtain into my process. I'm gonna take Rashee Rice and Patrick Mahomes.
Nice, yeah. So it does do this on the turn. It'll just grab a pair. That's definitely a thing that it does some of the time. Yeah.
Well, it makes
sense.
Makes sense. You lock in your correlation. These are very highly projected players. Actually, Mahomes has projected a lot higher than I thought he would. I kind of expected with the Bengals having a low total. I thought I was going to pull up Cardi's projections this morning, and that I'd show up and he'd be projected for 21 points, and optimals would only give me Richardson and Lamar. But he's projected for, I think, only like 0.7 less than Lamar, which for me personally, for my predilections and my biases, couldn't agree more. Great stuff. Projections. Keep it up. Brian, when Lowell's is in an hour?
29 minutes. So I got a few more minutes here, and then
okay,
got a boogie. Are you guys gonna keep rocking or what?
I mean, I'm gonna keep drafting. I'm gonna keep drafting. Dan can leave whenever he wants. I have to do the math on when I have to go let my puppy out next. So if I hear her crying upstairs, then I will probably bring it to a close, but she seems to be minding her manners right now. All right, well, real tight end run here.
Double tight end over there. That's kind of fun.
That's a real the best ball intelligentsia put themselves into a fiddle on that. It's suboptimal, but the field is doing it less than 1% of the time. So all you need to do is do it on 4 teams and you're above the field. All right. What running back does it want us to take?
Let's see.
Stevenson?
Of course he's going to appear. And then it's got him. It's got Walker. It's got ATN.
This would be a very good team to take McCaffrey on, by the way. Where we can definitely get. I'm going to do that because we could definitely get Ramondre if McCaffrey doesn't play. We have sacrificed a lot of ceiling at running back up until this point.
Right. No, I like it.
Who does it want us to take now?
It's preferring. It wants
Stevenson.
another running back, interestingly enough. But my model is not accounting for the things that you're accounting for. So.
No, it wants. I agree. This is something I do agree with and we can just take whatever tight end comes back to us. Yeah. I agree with what the projections are saying this, which is that running backs just project better in half PPR with no bonuses. Yeah.
I've actually talked to an AI coder I know who was talking about doing this for us. So it'd be like an AI Pete or an AI Davis, and it would just like take all the podcasts you've ever done and all your stuff, and then run it through, and you can interact with it, and then you can put it in Discord.
You know what the worst scenario is? Stone worst scenario is McCaffrey is active the same way that Russell Wilson was active last week. Like Russell Wilson was the emergency third quarterback, so he didn't count against the 48-man active roster, but theoretically he could have been activated. That McCaffrey is in pads. T. Higgins has done this. T. Higgins has been active and played like 1 snap before. That is this that kills the McCaffrey swap strategy, which could definitely happen. Yeah, this one is not the winner. This one this just broke against us. Connor is kind of my favorite. Connor and David Montgomery are my favorite, quote unquote, scroll the F down running backs. Double. I guess when one team in the room takes double tight end, then you're kind of owned. Then we just have to take Evan Ingram. Tough scenes.
I'll get it started because none of these guys are taking another tight end. Even with its lack of knowledge of what the McCaffrey pick is.
The McCaffrey thing is?
It still likes your team a good bit, yeah. Ingram and Likely, it likes. Likes Ingram a little more.
I like Ingram. I think Ingram projects like 5 points better than Likely does.
So yeah, I think you got $9 out of this one.
$9, bro. $9, and it doesn't know that CMC is ass. Incredible.
Wow. $9. That's pretty impressive.
$9. Well, Brian, that's what happens. That's what happens when I stuff the computer in a locker and just take the best plays.
But then how can you trust its EV calculation?
There's also an effect here where it's gonna get more accurate further down the draft. Because it has less things to guess. That. It has less unknowns to deal with. So as more of the draft is completed, it just has a better idea of your EV. So
yeah, but it still has other people taking Stevenson in an strategy and stuff like that.
That's the thing though. The computer doesn't even know I might be able to get Ramondre Stevenson.
That's true. You might get him.
Yeah. It doesn't even know that I can trade loser Christian McCaffrey for Chad Ramondre Stevenson.
What if you took Stevenson in the last round? It's just like $30,000 EV stone
30. I mean, honestly, this experiment does have me to the point of being like, well, I probably am going to start taking Ramondre some, just because imagine Ramondre is in the shipper, and I just spent an entire stream laughing at the idea of taking Ramondre, and he's the nuts. That's nightmare fuel. Nothing worse than having generational wealth in your fingers and just letting it slip. Who does? I'm assuming.
Oh God,
you want Breece Hall?
Yeah, it's gonna say Breece Hall.
Yeah.
Yep, it does.
All right, Breece Hall. Welcome to the team. His projection is crazy. Like I'm not even saying it's wrong, but I had ownership projections pulled up this morning. He's projected for 36% right now, early in Maine. Salary cap DFS, which is that's a lot. That's very high for
a running back.
It's very high for running back in a slate where Jordan Mason is projecting for 4,500 ownership or 45% ownership or whatever.
Wow.
Yeah. All right, St. Brown, Jefferson, Kyron. Yeah, Kyron is just very consistently going in the top 6 picks now, which I think is correct. I think that is that's an equilibrium strategy. Yeah, dude, we just drafted a team worth $9, so I'm pretty sure we wrapped it up.
Pretty sure it's solved.
Pretty sure we got the shipper. It's gonna want Jamar Chase. That's my prediction.
Okay.
Assuming that Mark Zorner does not take him. He does. Okay. It's going to want Jonathan Taylor. It's my guess.
Yeah.
You could tie
it likes the man who will not be named. It also likes Lamar and Taylor.
We'll do Jonathan Taylor.
Jonathan Taylor,
man. And then once we have selected Jonathan Taylor, then the man who shall not be named cannot be picked due to the rules of the game. So he's out of the pool.
We dodged that bullet.
You could smooth out the projections with some like ADP estimated projections. So
yes, you could.
Like give it a fake projection based on ADP and then average the two, something like that. Something where you're taking the field into account.
It's honestly so hard for me to give good feedback on the Sims to Dan because I have so little idea of how you would even do that. You know what I'm saying? Like if I'm like, oh Dan, it'd be awesome if you did this thing that would take 10 hours to do. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm like, oh yeah, you just type, I want a computer to do this and a ChatGPT and then it gives it to you. Colin, this is not available for purchase. And
yeah, I don't think you want to buy this just yet.
I'm gonna say we're pretty far away from having solved the game.
There is a element though of sometimes when games get solved, the solutions look kind of weird to people who are regular players.
Oh,
That's
for
true.
sure. Yeah. All right. Wide receiver, quarterback, or tight end?
Interesting. So it's got tight ends popping right now. Kittle, McBride, Kelsey. Then Richardson is in there. Now it's just Kittle, Kelsey, Godwin. Kittle, Laporta, Kelsey. Yeah, they're popping around.
Well, it's getting overran. I'm subbing out Kittle for Trey McBride.
McBride came in 8 cents below Kelsey, so you're good.
Okay. Well,
it was Kelsey, McBride, Laporta, Godwin, Ayuk. There's like a lot of choices that were.
Well, what if I told the computer that it's got a very high chance of getting Kyler Murray? Like,
right.
You know,
I mean, that's got it. Hopefully, it's got some of that in there. There goes Kelsey.
Well, what are you about to say, Brian?
I'm just trying to think through this smoothing. I'm not even sure if Danny wants to go down that road, but
well, I will say it's pretty good content. The people who care about this seem pretty locked in. It's good. It's good marketing for Endgame. Could be a good tool for Endgame eventually. I think it's worth exploring. I mean, I don't think that this version of it you'd sell public facing, but it's definitely, Brian, to your point, it's getting at some truths of the game that drafters are not factoring in their selections. I don't think it's solved or even close to it, but Brian, I liked that point.
Yeah,
I do have an idea of making a more general solution that instead of listing names, lists, you should take a highly projected running back here.
A highly projected running back.
Or you should take a correlated piece here.
Right.
Rather than trying to figure out the names. So it's our pick. I know we're not taking a quarterback. I figured that out all by myself.
We could take a quarterback.
No, we don't need to because the next two guys already have a quarterback.
Oh, sure.
So it's saying Wilson and Godwin at the top right now.
I'm gonna do Godwin because the Davis Mattek modeling of a Garrett Wilson Breece Hall team is 0 cents of expected value. Yeah.
Because does it make more sense to tie it to ADP more than like projection sources? Because if you're using someone's projection source, it's going to overpower a lot of the suggestions. Because if Cardi thinks that Stevenson is going to have 25 points this week, it's not going to care that drafters are taking Stevenson in the 4th round or whatever.
That's true. Well, you have to ask yourself what the goal is.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
What are you trying?
The goal is to draft some goddamn shippers and to put $30,000 in my UnderDog account.
And I don't think the goal is. I don't think the goal is to maximally exploit Cardi's projection set. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, because there's two things going. Oh wait, we're picking. It likes Ayuk, Pittman, Cooper, and then it's considering taking Baker here. That seems silly.
Yeah.
I think wide receiver over quarterback here, obviously.
Well, I'm overriding it.
Yeah. Kyler.
I overrid it.
No, you didn't actually. It gave Kyler second.
There you go. It got there in the end. I'll tell you why I overrid it. Because this is going to be the same thing when we get to the end of it, where it's going to like our EV more with Kyler because it doesn't know that we are going to be able to take a wide receiver it likes greatly in the next pick.
We'll see. So we'll see how
you get real money with bonus money. Okay, my guess with this final selection going to want Brandon Ayuk.
I like
and
the
I
guess.
might
because that was number one before.
Will you
yeah.
Will you tell me the fourth place wide receiver when we get
Sure.
there? Because I might be more. This is a Brandon Ayuk goes. Okay, so they built this into the sidekick over at Legendary Upside. They built in like a balance your range strategy where it's like instead of every time you're on the clock in the 8th round, you take Jalen Warren. It's like, well, no, 60% of the time we're going to tell you to take Jalen Warren, but then sometimes we're going to tell you to take Chase Brown, and sometimes we're going to tell you to take Zach Moss.
Yeah, so I imagine if I do it and it works, the whole offering you bundles of players, like categories of players instead of specific players, would sort of give you the same kind of thing in a way.
Now you'd have to know ball to use it that way, in a bundle. Like if you tell me take a highly projected wide receiver, I'm like, okay, well, I know what that means.
Well, yeah, I could present all of them. It's like pick one of these guys.
Yeah.
I think
that's what we're thinking. Like 3 suggestions.
Okay, receiver time. So, DK Metcalf makes an appearance.
I definitely have not taken him.
We're not taking. Okay, he disappeared. We've got. That's interesting. Harrison appears. Neighbors, Olave, Adams, Pittman. Neighbors
Adams
on top. Neighbors on
well,
top.
Whatever. I'll let it flow. I'll do Neighbors. No harm, no foul there.
Yeah, very close between Adams and Neighbors right now. Letting it cook. Yeah. Like Penny is different. Yeah.
Brees Hall, John. All right. This team is gonna sim out for $6.17.
It said $4.37.
Kyler.
Is it the Kyler Curtis?
No, it would project worse without Kyler. I guarantee it. If we had snapped Baker off there, and then taken a guy who projects shitty like Jalen McMillan, or taken an uncorrelated player, it would have been worse.
Before you start another one, Davis.
Yes.
I'm gonna head out.
Okay.
So I don't know if anyone noticed, but Davis was using the draft caddy. We got totals and spreads from the games on there now.
Yes.
Hopefully we'll have ownership projections for the Battle Royale on there automatically. Or you have to go and select it if you want to display it, but in the next day or two. Also, we're multi-streaming on my channel and EndGame. So if we start an EndGame channel, the link should be around here somewhere. I posted it earlier, but if you guys haven't subbed to EndGame, please do. And what else do we got?
Here's the thing. You guys need to post a video that's just 90 minutes of Dan typing.
I can sing softly at the same time.
Dan ASMR in the background while he runs the BR Sims. That's getting the clicks, man. That's getting the clicks.
Obviously, yeah.
And we do have a bunch of best ball and DFS tutorial training videos on EndGame.
A bunch.
EndGame Syndicate.
Yeah. I think, Dan, you have what? You have like 6 best ball strategy videos up now?
Something like that. 4 or 5, 6.
Yeah, pretty. Oh, we got more than that. Yeah.
Can't remember.
What would you guys have, chat, Davis? Would you rather have combos ownership, like this kind of player with this player, or the EV thing first?
I would want the combo ownership. Chat is going to want the EV. Guaranteed. Bet your bottom dollar.
Okay. Well, then we'll probably do that then.
Yeah. Especially like that'll do okay for you guys for the BRs, but if you could, if there was a landing page on EndGame Syndicate, you go and you upload your draft board of your best ball team, you put it in there, and it tells you an EV, like specifically for Best Ball Mania. It could work for BR or whatever. That right there is gonna do numbers, Brian. But yeah, people do definitely want both.
I think it'd have to be on the draft caddies, like, settings page or whatever. You would just click to it and go to some. But
yeah, you have to install the extension. Yeah.
All right, and everyone's watching your show, but we're gonna do Lils in like 9 minutes here. So
that's true.
Actually, people have been popping off. Dan, let's do like 2 more, and then we can.
I have to make a call in 8 minutes, but I'll stick around.
No, that's perfect. Actually, we'll do 1 more then.
All right, guys.
Later.
I'm out of here. Peace. Later.
Bye.
We like to here's a little YouTube hack for you. We like to get the videos to 2 hours. The algorithm likes. The algorithm just in general likes the longer your video is, but getting past that marker, getting past the 1 hour marker, getting past the 2 hour marker, the algorithm likes that, and people like to click. We have not had a 4th pick yet.
Oh, okay.
So this is a new part of the game tree.
Yeah.
I'm gonna guess this is one of the picks where we go immediately away from average draft position, where it is like, I'm on Ross St. Brown. Who's that? We don't even know who that is.
Let me see. So it has St. Brown 5th.
Who does it have? Justin Jefferson 4th then?
It has him lower, actually. I think one of my sources must know. So for receivers, it has Lamb, Cup, St. Brown, Rice, Jefferson.
All right. Well,
That's the order it has.
We can do Rashee Rice. That is no skin off my back.
So
the algorithm does like ship chasing. The algorithm really likes Peter Overzet streams that are very long. That was when I decided to start doing YouTube, that was what. So I got on a call with Peter, and he was like, basically, you got to do one of 2 things. You either have to stream for like a really long time, like a really, really long. We might get Breece Hall here.
Hey, look, it went Lamb Cup instead of Cup Lamb for once.
Well, Lamb is projected for more points, so that is the people who are clicking Cup first are ball knowers. They are
or projection downloaders.
Or projection downloaders. Okay, what does it want us to do here?
It's giving you Kyron first, but if you don't want to do a running back,
no, I will do that. I will do that.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that is probably the correct direction. Yeah. So when I started doing YouTube, basically Peter was like, you could do one of 2 things. You could do really highly produced, like 15-minute videos, or you can just stream for like a long time, like 4 hours. And I was like, well, honestly, streaming for 4 hours for me, for my personality, for the way my brain works, much easier than creating like a highly edited, produced 15-minute video. So I was like, all right, it's time to be a streamer.
Yeah, Lamar goes.
The JJ Jackson turn I have not seen all that often. Kind of like that, honestly.
Okay, there goes Rashee. So now,
damn. All right.
Other than our guy, it's putting up Debo, McBride, Jamar.
I honestly,
Mahomes
I really do
Pacheco,
prefer Debo
Taylor.
Samuel to Jamar Chase.
Taylor is up there. Taylor is winning at the moment, but Pacheco is up there with Debo and Jamar. It's a lot.
I'm gonna override, and I'm gonna override for a couple of reasons. The first being, there's something.
It was within 10%. Yeah.
I don't know the inputs, but there's something where it's basically not understanding this. It's not understanding that the wide receiver points fall off in a way that the running back points do not.
No, it should understand that. But it is hornier for running backs than receivers. There's also another effect we haven't talked about, which is that I was thinking about this yesterday. Once you fall behind the curve on a position, it often makes strategic sense to just ignore that position altogether because most of the damage has been done. So,
right,
like you'll see that this is most evident in the tiny little 2-gamers where it's like two
if
quarterbacks.
you lose,
Quarterbacks go early, and then someone's like, "Shit, I need to get a quarterback." No, you should do the opposite and start going somewhere else.
Yes, yeah. I mean, this current 2-gamer is like that, where there are a couple there. Well, one offense is projected much worse than the others.
Hey, Taylor's been taken.
Is it like Mahomes here? Because that's who I would be inclined to pick.
Interesting. Mahomes is listed after 4 quarterbacks. Oh no, now he's at the top. He's at the top.
It just needed to think.
Grab it.
You know, often things are like that with Mahomes. People are like, maybe he's not the best, and then they think about it and they're like, actually, he is the best.
Yep,
yeah, because this is an advantageous team to select Travis Kelce or Xavier Worthy.
Yeah, and it knows that the next guy has Rice, so there's a risk it gets taken. So it's going to be more likely to take it for that reason.
It's fun. That's funny to me what it does and doesn't pick up. You know, it's funny to me what it does and doesn't know. I also am going to override. I'm going to override the computer on this next pick because I don't think it's going to want who I want. Interesting that Jordan Mason has now been falling back in these drafts today to like a 6th round pick. Yeah, where he had been. Yeah, I mean all right. I'm gonna over it. It's gonna want Ayuk probably, but I'm gonna take Worthy. Well, maybe I should give it more credit. Maybe I should.
I want some kind of running back here.
Yeah, I'm gonna overrule
Xavier
it.
Worthy. So Xavier Worthy, how much does it hate it? It really doesn't like it, but we're taking it.
because Xavier Worthy projects for like 11 points because the projection people don't know ball.
I think it's assuming that it would get another shot at it, but maybe that's not right.
He doesn't. Well, no, that's not true. You do get every once in a while. You do get other shots at it.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say he always goes early. I don't know. I mean, that is also like it is showing up for a theory contest with player takes, which is probably not. It's not playing an equilibrium strategy at all. That is an exploitative strategy, and I'm saying that people like Easy are playing bad, which I do think they are playing bad. I think and also you don't. What's the EV of an unstacked Mahomes team? Like nothing to me.
Hard to say. I don't have the answer to that. That's a really good question. Like, can you imagine scenarios where like he spreads the ball all around, but he gets a ton of points, but nobody
he scores a one rushing touchdown and throws one touchdown to a bunch of guys, but none of the guys rack up a ton of yardage. Sure, it's of course it's possible, but I don't want to live in that world. I prefer to live in the Xavier Worthy world. There we go. That's why. There you go. Well,
right.
Sometimes
there was less scarcity there. It probably didn't cost you that much.
McCaffrey is the only running back who went after our pick anyway. 3 quarterbacks.
Right. So you didn't lose a ton there. Now it wants our guy or another running back. It wants a running back here.
Okay.
Or Sam Laporta. It would take.
Okay. All right. Wow, we got it in. Nimble fingers. They say I don't have nimble fingers. Those are some nimble goddamn fingers.
Yeah, he ended up rating second after the guy who shall not be named.
Negative. I feel like it is. To me, it is impossible for them to be optimal. But obviously, my brain is not a computer. But I think Jonathan Taylor and Anthony Richardson are possibly the most negatively correlated players in fantasy football.
Yeah.
All right, you know what? It's the last pick. You're getting out of here after this. Let's take he shall not be named.
Okay.
That's we got to take he shall not be named with the final selection here. And Connor is who I would have taken anyways, probably. Yeah, we gotta wrap this one up with Ramondre Stevenson.
Seems fair. All right. Well, I got to check out as it is. So
okay. Later,
fun
buddy.
drafting with you. We'll talk to you
Appreciate
later.
Great day.
All right.
Bye.
See you.
All right, guys. I'm gonna do a couple more because my dog is still behaving herself. I'm gonna do I don't know, I'll do a couple more. So now we are about to go. That was all sim drafts. Now we are about to go completely into the unsimmed world after taking Patrick Mahomes, Kyron Williams, Ramondre Stevenson, Deebo Samuel, Xavier Worthy, and Sam Laporta. Dan is gone. Everyone is now watching lols, but I'm gonna draft. Honestly, I'm gonna do at least one more and end with a bang. Now we are gonna go back to the unsimmed world, and we'll see how it differs. Maybe this team will be the same, or maybe it won't. And you do need to factor this in. Don't get me wrong. You do need to factor this in. Let's well, maybe we'll run hot on this one. I did not comp last week's sim drafts versus the unsimmed ones. I didn't honestly. I think I got $350 back last week. My best team was obviously a Baker Mike Evans one, but the big issue with my teams last week was too much Kincaid, too much McBride, and I don't think I took Joe Mixon one time. And if you don't take the guy who scores the most points at running back one time, you're not going to have... Well, I guess that's not true because I took a bunch of A-Chain. I had A-Chain and Tyreek as my 1 and 2 players. So, yeah. And obviously, one of the things that is going to be different drafting here is I am... and we do get Cooper Kupp too. I'm going to not be giving up very much projection. But, this might not be true. I mean, I think it's very easy for us to say things like the computer is giving up too much projection. The computer, and it's like, well, actually, probably the Sims and the computer are going to know better about giving up projection than we do. You know what I mean? Like the programming. I think if I was telling Dan's computer what to do and I had the ability to program it, which I don't, Dan is much smarter than me. I think I would tell it to focus more on when players are available. So like, well, we don't need Ramondre Stevenson here. We need a better balancing strategy. We need to feed it more. We need to feed it more ADP data because without the ADP data, it's probably asking us to do things that are a smidgen suboptimal, and you don't really want that. Like it is a very exploitative strategy in the sense that it allows me to be exploited if I'm taking Ramondre Stevenson here. I'm going to take... I'm going to take Deebo Samuel. So if I'm playing that way and I'm taking Ramondre Stevenson here, it allows my opponents... I'm going to take Kelsey and try and do something. So it allows my opponents to gain more projection on me, even though obviously what's feeding into wanting Ramondre so high is that he is projected, or why it wants to draft Ramondre so high is that Ramondre is projected for a lot of points, which he is. Ramondre is projected for more points than you think he is, and that is why. Here, I'll pull up Cardi's projections. So this right here, this number right here, 18.92, that is why Ramondre is going fourth overall. But at the same time, this is the only input that Dan's computer knows. Dan's computer doesn't know, even if he is projected for more points than Pacheco, even if he is projected for more points than Jonathan Taylor, it doesn't know that we can get him in the end every time. We can get Ramondre with our final pick every time. If there was a way for us to feed that information in, then it would be changing the strategy. If it's projection based, his ADP should be higher if he's a non-correlated play. So because that is what... Let me make this pick real quick. That was an unsuccessful gambit. I was going to see if maybe I could just get a random Mahomes faller. On this one, I'm going to select Jahmyr Gibbs. So if I'm understanding Dan's Sims correctly, it basically he is trying to project what ADP should be. Again, it's possible I'm wrong. I don't want to put too many words in his mouth, because obviously Dan's much smarter than me. He knows a lot more, math, has won millions and millions of dollars playing fantasy sports. I have not won millions and millions of dollars playing fantasy sports. So there's a big difference. But I already have a tight end. I'm going to scroll for a running back anyways. I would have maybe taken naked Jaden. I'm going to do Purdy with Debo. Hope to fade some of these Mason teams. ADP with some variables to sim for randomness. Yeah, I mean you have to include some randomness, obviously. It'd be very funny to take Ramondre on this team. Here, let's go back to the projections tab. Who's a guy who projects for a lot of points like Ramondre, who's not going very often? Kamara, definitely one of them. Walker, definitely one of them. Like James Conner's being drafted a ton ahead of these guys. Jerome Ford is another one. And Cardi's projections are pretty good. People give Cardi, who's your greatest DFS play of all time? Jeremy Langford. It was Jeremy Langford in like 2017. He was like 1% owned against the St. Louis Rams. That's how long ago it was. He played for the Bears, scored like 35 points, won me and my partner a live final ticket. So that was a good day in the life. Yeah, it's definitely Jerome Ford is definitely the answer to this question if you trust Cardi's projections, where he's like legitimately going undrafted and projects for a lot of points. I don't know how much that might get smoothed over. Let's go back. Let's check this again. How many does he have ETN for? He's got ETN for more than Ford. So let's take RB18, Travis Etienne Jr. Beautiful. Brock Purdy, Jahmyr Gibbs, Travis Etienne, Cooper Kupp, Deebo Samuel, and Travis Kelce. I want to try and end on a cheap stack. So let's keep drafting. Hosea Maria Araf, I can never say the right Basque pronunciation of his last name. Won James 4th place in a PGA Millie Maker in 2015. Shout out. All right. Well, let's say here. This is a good one. Let's try and draft according to just pure vibes here. I got no worries. All of Bigsby's stuff was low value touches, right? It was all in between the 20s. All the high value touches were for ETN. So I'm not worried. I think ETN is an incredible bounce back play this week. Like on DraftKings, rotogrinders has ETN projected for 1.43% ownership. Compare that to Jahmyr Gibbs. Compare that to Rashad White, James Conner, J.K. Dobbins. Like Dobbins, I mean, maybe Dobbins gets 18 touches this week, but Dobbins is a fish ass play to me. I'm not able to get there. All right, one final draft. Let's do it. Let's do it for the vibes, and we will compare the vibes-based teams to the Sims-based teams, and we will see which one is better. I got over 2 hours. Also, would like to remind all of you that I did just publish the video of Jacob and I doing our DFS slate breakdown. It's got 309 views already, so that's quite nice. But I would appreciate if you guys would all watch that. That would be very nice for me. I'm going to take Kyron Williams here, vibes-based Kyron Williams selection. But yeah, if you were interested in all of, if you're interested in the week 2 DFS slate, if you're interested in the Sims, if you're interested in what plays we are on this week, be very kind of you if you would watch Jacob and I break down this DFS slate. Jacob was in his sauna. Not actually, but it really does. It's a room at his grandmother's house, and it really looks like a sauna. All right, Kyron Williams. I'm going to take Rashee Rice. I'm going to hope that this room probably not going to get it. But I'm going to hope that Mahomes comes around to pick 17. And if he does, I'm going to snap him up. And this would be a completely phenomenal team. I would not do this. You want to talk about a guy, you want to talk about guys who you could scroll down for. You might be the only person in the contest to select Zach Moss. Right now, Cardi has Zach Moss for 13 points on the road against the Chiefs. He might, not only would he be 1% owned, he might be drafted in 1% of drafts. I mean, Mahomes goes to the CeeDee Lamb drafter. Sure, why not? Zach Moss, RB27 with a 36.0 ADP. I mean, that is, it's kind of how it's done. Those are, does it seem that high though? I mean, he played all the long down and distance stuff. I don't know if that's true. All right, so Mahomes went. So we're off of that strategy. Let's do a different strategy. What should we do? Wide receivers like pretty much all the same here. I know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna select with this next selection. The Bengals corner just said all Worthy does is run fast and do jet sweeps. Immediately regret listening to the projections. Yeah, come on. I mean, how bad would you have to be at fantasy sports? Truly. You guys are going to see what I'm cooking up here in a second. How bad would you have to be at fantasy sports to think that Xavier Worthy should project for 11 points? I mean, truly. You'd have to be one of the all-time worst players to think that a median projection can accurately capture what Xavier Worthy does. Yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and advise against being that mid curve. All right. Let's do spoiler alert. Okay, I'm going to take Kyler Murray, and then you guys are going to see what I'm cooking up with the final pick, and then I'm going to get out of here because everyone is watching Lols right now. And I need to go let my dog out, and I need to go eat some ground bison and rice for lunch, which is what a very unlike Liam the pescatarian. That is what a grown man has for lunch. This is my favorite 60 IQ play of the week. Marvin Harrison Jr. is my favorite 60 IQ play of the week, where basically all that we care about is that Marvin Harrison Jr. 8 days ago was a first-round pick in fantasy. Now in the week 2 slate, in the highest total of the game, highest total of the week, rather. It's actually not the highest total, but it is a very high total. Is now going undrafted. Is now being what it's 34.3 means. Yeah. He only ran 16.7 miles per hour. He's unpickable. He's unclickable. Neighbor's also a good selection. So I'm gonna pick him. Well, actually, I'm not gonna pick Neighbors because I'm gonna select another running back. And who will that running back be? Well, it'd be very funny if it was Ramondre. I guess I could take Christian McCaffrey, and that's the same as picking Ramondre. The vibes based would have you on. Vibes based would have me on Dortch. So I guess it's not that vibes based. So I am going to select Marvin Harrison Jr. And then who else am I going to select? I am going to select. Yeah, I guess it should be Ramondre. Well, no, I'm gonna do McCaffrey. I'm gonna do McCaffrey and then have Ramondre as my swap. Ramondre will be a top ranked swap here for old Davis Mattek. Do I want to do that? I don't know. That feels very mid IQ. Ramondre's gone anyway. No, I'm gonna take Kenneth Walker. Take Kenneth Walker. Final team of the stream, Kyler Murray, Kyron Williams, Kenneth Walker III, Rashee Rice, Marvin Harrison Jr., and Sam Laporta. Going to wrap it up there. Everyone, please subscribe to EndGame Syndicate, subscribe to Brian's channel, subscribe to Davis Mattek, YouTube. Please like the video. Remember, on the Davis Mattek channel, every comment is a drawing to win 5% of my winnings in Best Ball Mania 5. Imagine how sick you would be if I, of all people, win Best Ball Mania 5 and you didn't do anything about that. You didn't have the ability to profit off that. You'd be sick to your goddamn stomach. You'd hate it. You'd hate it. So make sure that you do that. Patreon.com/Davis Mattek for all of my premium fantasy football content. I'm getting out of here. I appreciate all of you. GG. Well played.